So you've introduced a really important concept that you and I have worked with for quite a long time, the idea of the space.
Yeah.
That actually some of this stuff needs to have a degree of being agenda free to work. We've talked about something that's organic and grows and builds, and if the space, both the physical but the human interaction of that space, if it's controlled, it only gets to kind of A or B, and what. So when you talk about space, this is just enough room for people to be and do without it being predetermined first. The organic element of it is.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think you played a big part in this on a personal level. I can remember it early on. I mean, again, I think what we were looking for, we were trying to embrace that grey area. So we didn't want the formal treatment service, like you've got to call me Sir route. And I'm not saying it is like that, very sort of formal. But we also, at that point, we didn't want the full-on, like, mutual aid fellowship sort of thing. We kind of thought we needed to kind of sort of sit somewhere in the middle, really, just to provide the structure, particularly at the start, because that was one of the biggest challenges that we had, was that we had no actual recovery to start with. Everything, we had nobody to come in with 5 or 10 years. Only myself, but you know what I mean. I hadn't done like 12-step sort of stuff, and my addiction days go back to like early 2000s. So you know what I mean. It's not really relevant with that sort of thing. So everything we had to kind of sort of grow from that initial concept. But I can remember sort of very early on sitting on the table and somebody sort of turning around and saying it's the first time that I've ever felt part of a family. And me going, whoa, no, you can't say that. We're not a family. Oh, clear boundaries. Oh, do you know? Ooh. And then having a conversation with you, and you were like, why? And more importantly, who are you to say no if this guy views you as his family? Who are you to basically shit on that concept for him? Allow him to do it and to embrace it. And again, it was something went away and kind of. And again, I had to kick that around for a bit because, again, like when you come out of treatment services, you just get all this shit like ingrained into you, where you spend half your life looking over your shoulder to make sure you've not compromised yourself, not in your own head or your own heart, but in somebody else's eyes. You know what I mean? You're waiting for somebody else to stop in it, and particularly the way that I work, because, like I sort of say, I don't have a degree or this, that, and the other. But what I can do is I can sit in a room with an addict, and when he's telling me a load of bullshit, I can hear it and say, "Listen, come on, mate, that's cobblers." Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it was just, and again, so something kind of having recognised that and actually sort of seeing the value in that, and kind of recognising that for a lot of these guys that they've never felt part of anything. The only thing they've ever felt a part of is that using community, which perversely does have quite an intimate sort of core to it, but it just kind of something that we embrace fully now, and we actually describe ourselves as this big, weird, fucked up, dysfunctional family. But because the bonds that we forge between us, closer than your intimate personal relationship with your partner sometimes, particularly if your partner's a normie, for want of a better word. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, I share shit and we talk about, but not just the emotional, but you know this sort of stuff. I'm talking about the physical stuff that we do, like the expeditions and all that sort of stuff, where we forge bonds. So again, it sounds like a cliche, it sounds cheesy, but we forge our bonds in adversity. Do you know what I mean? We take these guys and we throw them into really, really, really deep water, so they're like completely out on their own and thinking, fuck me, there's no way I can do this. The only way they can get back, the only way they can get through it is by relying upon the support and the love and the encouragement of other people. You know what I mean? So it's this whole sort of thing. So these bonds are very, very strong between us, and you can't recreate or.
No, you remind me of that. Of a story, and I spent the best part of 45 minutes with about 10 people in recovery, 2,500 foot up a mountain in a snowy gully. Why some guy has whiteouts because he's only 4 weeks out of detox. And these people they all empty their rucksacks for him, and they go, "Here, I'll have my flapjack, have my coffee," and everyone just sits and waits till this guy's got himself back together again. The group's with him. He's recovered on the sugar rush. He's warm again, and then he climbs to the top with everyone else, and we go off home, and that you can't do, essentially what you're describing, you just can't do in treatment. I was listening to you and I was thinking, what's the difference? But I'm going to do a joke now. I've never done this before, but what's the difference between treatment and recovery? And basically, one of us hugs.